Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Empire Sports Talk. I am your host, Roman Gennaro. It's good to be back on the air after taking a break for a couple of weeks. We did some traveling, so we weren't here at our home studio to get it done, but we are back on the air. Let's get started with what's going on around the world of sports. First and foremost, 2 weeks ago there were about 5-6 undefeated teams in the NFL. Now there is one. That one being the Minnesota Vikings. This surprises a lot of people, seeing that the Vikings are without their two biggest weapons, Teddy Bridgewater and Adrian Peterson, but their defense is been holding them down. The MLB playoffs is scooting along. The Toronto Blue Jays became the first team to move on to the League Championship Series, defeating the Rangers 3-0 in the best-of-5 ALDS. And as of last night, they will be facing the Cleveland Indians in that series. So we'll be able to see a 7-game series between those two teams starting here in a couple days. I am really looking forward to that series because both teams have great pitching. You have Marcus Stroman, Sanchez, Trevor Bauer, Corey Kluber, Carlos Carrasco, and then you have the offenses, obviously, Jose Bautista, Josh Donaldson, Mike Napoli, Edwin Encarnacion, Jason Kipnis, Francisco Lindor, you name it. There's great players in this series coming up, and some really good managing between John Gibbons and Terry Francona. I'm really excited to see how that shakes out. So the first second round matchup is set with Cleveland and Toronto set to square off in the ALCS. On the National League side, that's still yet to be decided with the Cubs leading the Giants 2-1, and the Dodgers and Nationals locked up in a tight series as well. The Giants avoided a sweep against the Cubs by winning last night in extra innings 6-5, but I think what's surprising in that series is not that Bumgarner allowed the runs that he allowed or whatever, but it's instead how well the Cubs pitching is hitting the ball. More on that later. In the NBA, the preseason is underway, which means we're almost ready for some NBA basketball to get underway with the new look league. Really, Kevin Durant going west to Golden State, Dwayne Wade going to Chicago, and all the other moves that have happened. It's really a new look league from last year. So that's getting started. The NHL is also getting underway here soon, and so we're kind of getting out of that slow summer where the only thing on is baseball and everything else is taking a break. I have no problem with that. I love baseball, as anyone that's listened to this show knows. I love baseball. I have no problem with it being just baseball, but we're pulling ourselves out of that summer slump for some people that prefer the other sports. So all sports are coming back. Don't worry. This week, well, not just this week, but this has been a rough year for sports. First, we saw Kobe Bryant retire. We saw the passing of Muhammad Ali and Pat Summitt and Gordie Howe, and now Vince Scully is done as the Dodgers play-by-play man after 67 years. But then recently, a week or so ago, we lost a young man that was truly in his prime, and that was Jose Fernandez of the Miami Marlins, passed away from a tragic boat accident. And then we lost a legend, Arnold Palmer, who died. And all of these people that I just mentioned were, whether they retired or passed on, were great at what they did. And so I'm gonna, for any of you who listen, you know there's a blog associated with this show that hasn't been updated in a while, but I'm gonna take to that blog to elaborate more on each one of these people. But on this show, I just wanted to say that in sports, we usually watch it to get away from whatever is going on in our lives, to give us a break, to have something to cheer for. And these people, as I said, whether passed on or retired, gave us a way to do that. And so all I can say is this. Whether we're prepared or not for when their time in the sports world ends, when we see somebody with that kind of influence, with that kind of talent, all of these people, just say thank you to them. So, thank you, Pat Summitt, for all that you did in women's basketball. Thank you, Vin Scully, for all you did for the Dodgers and for baseball and for me, because your voice in the press box inspired me to do this right now. Thank you, Gordie Howe, for revolutionizing hockey. Thank you, Arnold Palmer, for being a legend on and off the golf course, for all you did for families with children, opening your children's hospital. Thank you, Jose Fernandez, while you were so young when you were tragically passed away, for being a one-of-a-kind talent that we won't see again for a very long time. And thank you to everyone. Thank you to Kobe Bryant for being one of the biggest faces in sports. And for everyone that for however different the sports world is after this year, with 2016 ending here very soon, thank you to those that had a hand in shaping it. Anyway, we're gonna try a couple of new things on the show now. We're making some changes to the show, and some good changes. We're working on getting an official website. We're gonna start chopping these episodes up into clips to put on Facebook. Although the full episodes will still be available on YouTube, but we're gonna put clips in there, try to get some more views. We're more active in our social media accounts, but we're gonna do some more things onto this show to change things up. First thing we're going to do is something I like to call Roman's Ridiculous Six. And so we're going to have the first edition this week. And what the Ridiculous Six is, to me, is 6 things, or people, or stories, whether they be good, bad, wacky, tacky, whatever, what have you. 6 headlines that I found interesting of the week or the month, or whatever the case is. So let's get started. Roman's Ridiculous 6. Here we go. The first of these is Joakim Noah. The New York Knicks center made headlines a couple of weeks ago by skipping a team dinner at the military academy because he was against war. We've seen recently a lot of players voicing their opinions on issues, Colin Kaepernick being the most prominent. But this one is interesting because, 1, he skips a team dinner. 2, the team dinner's at the military academy, where the students that will be the future of this country's military are. And 3, he did it because he was anti-war. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't everyone anti-war? Nobody likes war. War is not something we strive to do. It is something that is necessary to protect this country. Isn't everyone anti-war? Nobody likes war. So to skip a team dinner, first of all, new team. You think you can afford that? To skip a team dinner like a month, 2 months after you join that team? To avoid your new teammates, to stay away from your coaches, from your staff, from the people that sign your checks, because of a stance that, while noble, is kind of common sense. Everyone is against war, but it's necessary to protect this country. Speaking of protecting the country, you skipped a team dinner at the military academy. You don't have to like war to appreciate and thank the people that are willing to go to war and protect you so you don't have to. It's very interesting to me that he would choose now, with a new team going to a military base, to refuse to show up. This is a guy that has said he's said some ridiculous things in the past. One notably he was on Sports Nation when he was with the Bulls, and he basically said nobody ever wants to go to Cleveland. Cleveland is a terrible place. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. So Joakim Noah doesn't really have a filter, I feel like, and so this was a ridiculous thing for him to say. Hence why he is on the ridiculous 6. Number 2. Dak Prescott starting over Tony Romo when he's healthy. This is not something that Jerry Jones or Jason Garrett have said. They have said that when Tony comes back, he is starting. The ridiculous part is the Cowboys fans. Now, we know the Cowboys fans are the ones that are saying they want Dak to start over Tony. Now, we know the Cowboys fans have very high expectations. Thank you, Troy Aikman. Thank you, Roger Staubach. Thank you, Emmitt Smith. Have very high expectations because of their past, because of their championships. We also know that in years past they have had troubles when Tony Romo got injured because they didn't have a viable backup quarterback. They finally do in Dak Prescott. Tony Romo goes down, Dak Prescott becomes the starter. The Cowboys are now 4-1. But now the Dallas fans are saying, hey, well, Dak's better than Tony. Tony's hurt. Dak's here. He's doing well. Let's make him the starter. He should start when Tony comes back. It's ridiculous. He should not start when Tony comes back. He's having a good stretch. They haven't played particularly tough competition. There's some. They've done some, but Dak has still shown flaws in his game. He doesn't really throw the ball down the field. It's more of a strategical, methodical, 6-7 yards at a time type deal. Tony does not fear that. Tony is a traveled veteran, I guess you could say, and he's going to do that. Tony, when he comes back, it will be in time for November. Now, Dak has gotten the Cowboys off to a good start, but it's early in the season when the standings don't really matter as much. Come November, December, when you have to win every game, will Dak be able to do that? He has a lot of help from probably the best offensive line in the league and Rookie of the Year, in my opinion, Ezekiel Elliott. But they haven't really faced that challenge. They haven't faced that pressure of late in season. Tony Romo is virtually almost undefeated in November. He's had his struggles in December, except for the last couple of years he's done well, but he does not lose in November. You can call him Tony November. So the idea that Cowboys fans want Dak to start over Tony when Tony is healthy in the middle of the season is ridiculous. That's why the fans don't run the team. Number 3 on the ridiculous 6. Cubs pitching. And they are here in the playoffs. They're facing the Giants, and a lot of people. The Giants have notably won the championship every other year, 10, 12, 14, and now here they are in 16. What drives me crazy is that the years in between, 11, 13, 15, they've missed the playoffs. Maddeningly inconsistent. And so I'm rooting for the Cubs. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I am. But the Cubs pitching has been good for the last couple of years. That's not why they're on this list. Why they're on this list is their hitting. The pitching staff is hitting really well in this series. Jake Arrieta had a 3-run shot to put the Cubs in the lead last night. Travis Wood hit a home run earlier in the series. Kyle Hendricks knocked in some runs in his start. And so the Cubs pitching is adding fuel to the fire that is the Cubs offense. The Cubs offense has been talked about all year. Rizzo and Bryan are viable MVP candidates. Jason Hayward, Addison Russell, Ben Zobrist, those guys in that lineup that are so potent. Now the pitching is saying, hey, we're in the playoffs here too, and we're going to make sure we get the run support. The Cubs ended up losing the game where Jake Arrieta hit the 3-run bomb, but I mean, come on. What's that, his 4th home run of the year? and this one was in the playoffs, and then Travis Wood and Kyle Hendricks getting in on the action as well. That's ridiculous with the level that they're playing with. Number 4, Dwayne Wade. An article came out a couple of days ago where Dwayne explained why he chose not to go to Cleveland and team up with former teammate LeBron James. And that reason was, among others, he's got 3 championships. And because of those 3, he is done chasing rings, is what he said. He's done chasing rings, so he doesn't see the Cavs and be like, oh, well, I need to go get a championship ring, so I'm going to join this team and go do it, form a super team again. Now, I've voiced my opinions saying that I don't like the super team and that the super team is bad for basketball and that the Warriors or whatever, I don't like that Kevin Durant went there, whatever. I didn't like the Heat when they did it. But what bothers me about this, why it's on this list in particular, is that he said he's done chasing rings. That he doesn't have to join up and go get a ring. This may not be how he intended it, but what it sounded like, he was done trying. You don't have to join a super team to win a championship, but when you say you're done chasing rings, it sounds like you could care less if you win another championship. And if that is the case, which I'm sure it is not, but that's what it sounds like, that's what I'm saying, if that's the case, it's time to hang up the sneakers. Because if you're not trying to chase, if you're not trying to win a championship year after year after year, no matter how many you have, why are you playing? Bill Russell has 11 championships. What if he said after 3, oh, I'm done. I don't have to chase a ring anymore. That's ridiculous. You should always be chasing the ring. You may not have meant it how it came out. You may have meant, oh, I don't have to join a super team. I can enjoy it in my city, in Chicago, and I can go get a ring here. But it came out as you don't care if you win another championship. That's ridiculous. Number 5, the Green Bay Packers. This team is interesting to me. They are, what is their record? 2-2, 1-3, 2, something like that. And they don't look good. Aaron Rodgers is usually one of the most sure-handed quarterbacks in the league. He's got the defense he's always had with the Clay Matthews and Clinton Dix and the guys that they have on that team, Micah Hyde, those guys. He's got virtually the same offense. He's got Jordy Nelson back from injury, his number 1 weapon. And he doesn't look comfortable. The team doesn't look comfortable. So I don't know what the issue is. They are being wholly outshined by Minnesota, as Minnesota took them down Sunday Night Football. And Aaron Rodgers did not look comfortable there either. The defense had their way with him. I don't know what's going on, and if it's a locker room thing, if it's a coach thing. Aaron Rodgers isn't the most team-oriented personality, I guess. He's not really known to be everybody's friend in the locker room. Kind of distant from his teammates. So maybe it's him, maybe it's the coaching, maybe things have gotten a little stale there. But something doesn't look right with the Green Bay Packers, which what we're not used to seeing with Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. So we'll have to see if they could iron that out. But it's a little ridiculous because there's no reason for it. As to why it's happening. So we'll have to see. Number 6 in Roman's ridiculous 6, Jay Cutler. Sticking in that division is Jay Cutler. I have never been a fan of Jay Cutler. I think he is the most overrated quarterback in the National Football League. The best game I've ever seen him play was on Monday Night Football last season, where he looked inflappable. But every other game, I don't see it. I don't even see why he's a starter. And with as bad a start as with a 1-3 start that the um, Bears had, that the Bears had, it looked to me like the organization was finally done with Jake. Granted, he got injured, so he had to be benched, but they looked like he was finally done. I didn't understand the big contract that he got. I've always had the conspiracy theory that because back then Brandon Marshall was playing with Jay Cutler and vied for Jay Cutler on many occasions. But of course, a quarterback's leading receiver would vouch for him at all times. And I had the theory that Brandon Marshall, because there was a game 2 years ago where that decided the division between the Packers and the Bears. The Bears lost, and I remember them saying, if the Bears lose, they're going to move on from Jay Cutler. The Bears lost, and then like 2 days later, Jay Cutler gets a contract extension, and a big one, which made 0 sense. So I'm thinking that Brandon Marshall walked into that office and said, if he goes, I go. So they said, okay, we can't lose both of them. So they signed Jay Cutler to that extension. And where's Brandon Marshall now? He left. He went. So I think it's ridiculous. There you go. There's that word. That the Bears stuck with Jay Cutler this long. And if they get a shot, they should and probably will draft a quarterback this year in the draft. And with how they're playing so far, it's looking like they're going to be near the top. So Deshaun Watson, maybe. That is the ridiculous. That is the first ever edition of the Ridiculous Six. If you watch the show, if you listen to the show, and you think something is ridiculous, post it on our Facebook wall. Tweet at us, Empire Sports Guy, or leave a comment on YouTube, and we will look into putting it into our Ridiculous Six on the following show. The second thing that we're going to do here today to change things up. The show is called Empire Sports Talk. When I was growing up, because my name is Roman, everything that I did under the moniker, any video or any project I did under the moniker Roman Empire Productions, which is where the name of the show comes from, if you didn't know that. It's Roman Empire, Empire Sports. So, what we're going to do is Emperor of the Week. And this is a team or a player or whatever that I think has really shown themselves and deserves to be Emperor for a day, Emperor for a week. And this week, sticking in the NFC North, I said it a little earlier in the show, the Minnesota Vikings defense is my Emperor for the week. Now it's really a 5-week award because of what they've done so far this year. They are undefeated without Teddy Bridgewater, without Adrian Peterson. And I attribute it largely to the defense. Largely. They have shown that they're top 5 defense this year. In my opinion, they're the best defense this year. I like Sam Bradford a lot. But, when Teddy Bridgewater went down and they signed Sam Bradford, they were like, oh, the Vikings are dead in the water. They don't have a chance. And Sam Bradford has held his own. Definitely comeback player of the year type stuff. Definitely. And they have Stephon Diggs. He's a Pro Bowler. And they have 2 really good running backs filling the shoes of Adrian Peterson until he gets back. But the defense is why they're the last undefeated team in the league this year. They have allowed 12.5 points a game, which is first in the NFL. 12.5. They have not, in their 5 wins, they have not allowed more than 16 points. And with the exception of a 17-16 victory in what I believe was Week 1, they're not. These games aren't close. 22-10, 31-13 are some of the scores that they've put out there. 12.5 points a game is first in the NFL. They have a plus 11 turnover differential. Plus 11, which is more than anyone in the league. And they've done that plus 11. They've had 7 interceptions, 5 forced fumbles, and they've only turned the ball over one time as a team this year. That was a fumble. So the Minnesota Vikings offense is doing a really good job taking care of the ball, and the defense are 11 ball hawks. 12 takeaways this season. And a plus 11 turnover differential. That is mind-boggling. And they are, as I just said, they are tied for first in takeaways, in total takeaways. They have 12. It's just they definitely should, and that's why they've won Emperor of the Week. I've kind of lumped it together to be 5 weeks, but with numbers like that, with players like Anthony Barr and those guys that are anchoring that defense, it's clear to me that they are the Emperors of the Week. So those are my 2 new things that I'm adding to the show. I hope you enjoy them. If you don't, please let us know, or if you do, or if you have, like I said, if you have any ideas of who your Emperor of the Week is, I will take suggestions. If for next week's show, if you have an Emperor of the Week, if you have a story to go in the Ridiculous Six, if you have any of these things, tweet at us, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and we will interact with you. We're very proud here to be interacting with fans. We love that idea. So if you want to interact with us, if you want to give us your ideas, if you want to give us stories to talk about on this show, please, we will take anything you got. Again, that's Empire Sports Guy on Twitter. So that is almost all the time we have today. But as I said earlier, if you see, we talked about all the people we lost this year to retiring or death or whatever. One we forgot to mention, David Ortiz played his last game of his career in Game 3 against the Indians, as they have been swept out of the playoffs. Big Papi changed everything for the Red Sox. When he got there, they hadn't won the championship in 86 years. Since then, they've got 3. He has over 500 home runs. He's hit, I don't even know how many walk-off home runs, how many big hits in clutch situations. He is one of the most clutch players that we've seen in the league. And his career came to an end last night. So thank you, David Ortiz. And thank you, Vin Scully and Jose Fernandez and Kobe Bryant and Pat Summitt and Gordie Howe and Muhammad Ali and Arnold Palmer and everyone else that changed their sport before being finished. So if you see somebody, I don't want to say too many names here, but if you recognize that there's a player like a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady or somebody that's going to be one of the greatest, if you can see that before it's time, as you usually can, because they're usually all over the news, if you see that, enjoy it. Thank them for what they're doing for the sport. Thank them for being there to help you unwind from your work day, or to help you cheer on your favorite team, or just provide an enjoyable experience. If you see someone that is changing the sports world on the field or off the field, if in the case of Arnold Palmer and all he did for children's hospitals, if you're seeing somebody like that, enjoy it, because careers don't last forever, people don't last forever, and we just need to say thank you to those icons of the sports that we love, and this is speaking strictly in a sports capacity. Thank those people, whether if you ever get a chance to meet them in person, but if you don't, just enjoy them and tell them at the end of their careers with a message on social media or whatever how much you appreciated what they did. But that's my theme today. Just thank you. The loss of Jose Fernandez was tragic. The retirement of Vin Scully made me so sad. My family has personal connections to the things that Arnold Palmer did for children's hospitals. He came and visited my aunt in the hospital when my cousin was born about 17 years ago, and he would happen to be in the hospital. She was born in one of his hospitals, and came to visit my aunt and my cousin. Those things don't last forever. We need to appreciate them while we have them. Thank you, Arnold Palmer. Thank you, David Ortiz. Thank you, everyone that is impacting sports and on and off the field. That is all the time we have for today. It's good to be back for the show. And if you liked the things we did with the Ridiculous Six and the Emperor of the Week, that's going to be a weekly thing. I haven't decided yet on the Ridiculous Six if that's going to be weekly or monthly or bi-weekly. I don't know. But if you want to hear it every week, let me know. If it's a monthly thing for you, let me know. Like I said, we're trying to get an official. We're working on getting an official website, and we're gonna vamp this up with some music, some musical infusion here as soon as we can. We just want to make this the best show that it can be, and if that means going an hour long instead of 30 minutes, or doing more bits like this, if you have an idea for one, tweet at us again, Empire Sports Guy. Like us on Facebook, Empire Sports Talk with Roman Gennaro. And we look forward to hearing from you. That's all the time we have for this week. This has been another episode of Empire Sports Talk. I am your host, Roman Gennaro, signing off. Have a great week, everybody.